Hello, everybody. So, as you can read from the title, this is going to be 100 of my favorite games, like top 100 games, I think I'm gonna call it. But um, these are not gonna be like anything like permanent or anything like that because my opinion changes constantly, and this list is already outdated. So whatever. But I will be like listing 100 games that I enjoy, and I will actually be posting that in the comments as well, so you can just already just go in there if you don't want to hear my opinions and just want to read the list. So I hope that it fits in the not in the description, but in the comments specifically. So I'm gonna try to pin it and something like that. So there won't be any footage in this video because I don't want to. First of all, I don't want to spoil the games. Like I don't actually want to give almost anything away from the games, but also because there's so many games in this list that recording some gameplay for each of those would take quite a bit of time. So I decided not to. Of course, I would also need a capture card for some of these games, but yeah, or I mean, not go into that. Anyways, there's gonna be a couple of rules. Like, okay, so first of all, my opinion, all of that. Post your own. If a game you enjoy is not in the list, post in the comments. I would very much like to hear what games you have enjoyed and what you would highly recommend. Like, because of course, sharing our hobby is something that we very much enjoy, and sharing our opinions is very fantastic. So feel free to post your own list in the comments and just say some games that you enjoy, because there are bound to be games that I have not played that you enjoy. So, and of course, I'm gonna have to assure you that you probably won't enjoy all of these games in the list, and there are going to be people who don't enjoy any of the games on this list, because I have a rather peculiar and specific taste, of course. So there's gonna be a couple of rules in this list where why I am excluding some of the games, and those are like I won't be including any board games or adaptations of board or card games like Ascension or Talisman or things like of that nature. Even because that's gonna be its own list at some point, and I will have only one game per developer per franchise, because otherwise there would be a lot of from software games, and a lot from Blackout Studios, and a lot from there would be just a lot of the very same games. So I won't be including Fallout 1 and 2 because they would definitely both be here, or New Vegas as well. And so yeah, but there's a specific point where I actually kind of broke this rule a little bit. But anyways, um, you don't need to watch this video. It's just gonna be a vlog style, because no footage, no pictures, nothing like that. Mostly because the slideshow I had prepared, it broke, so that's unfortunate. But I have all of the 100 pictures on my computer, or 150, like that. So, first of all, let's go through some honorable mentions. And first of all, I'm going to mention Crypt of Necrodancer. Yeah, these honorable mentions are excluded for one reason or another, and I will be explaining why I haven't included them. So, Crypt of Necrodancer, I mostly just didn't know where to place this because it would be high up there, but I just really remembered this during the crafting, after crafting the list, so I wasn't able to place it anywhere, or I don't know where I would have placed it. 999 is going to be the first actual honorable mention that I have not finished. So I have tested out the games. I like them. I really think they're pretty good. So they would probably land somewhere high up on the list, maybe in the top half. So, but haven't finished. Next is Dust and Elysian Tale, which I really, oh boy, the first time I tried that, it was really fantastic. It was something extraordinary. It was a really fantastic combat system, and the movement and free flowing and combos. It was all just. It has a fantastic. I really enjoyed it, but it of course is also a bit of an interesting little Metroidvania. So it's really good. I quite liked it, but I haven't finished it. I will actually be probably making a let's play or stream all of the games eventually, because I will be making a review of every single one of these games. Hopefully, eventually, maybe, potentially, we'll see. Okay, continuing with the list, is Fran Bow, which, yeah, that was a good. It's really good. Like, really, if you like horror, Fran Bow is something you just absolutely have to try out. It's horror, but it's also kind of scarring. So it's something I recommend, but you need to be very careful going into it because you need to. It's something where like you really can use trigger warnings to kind of suss out what it actually contains. And next is Hollow Knight because oh boy, that would be in the top 10 most certainly. But I haven't finished it, so I haven't included it in the list. But it is, it is so good. It's so damn good. Next is another horror game, and that's going to be Neverending Nightmares. Once again, haven't finished it, liked it. Probably not in the top 50, but mostly because just eh. But it was really good, so I will eventually play that a little bit more. Next is Salt and Sanctuary, and that is an interesting little Souls-like game that I didn't like go through completely, mostly because it's not like it didn't get too difficult or anything like that, but I just kind of moved on to other games. But that's something that I eventually really will finish. So, then Shadowrun Returns, which is an interesting little RPG, I must say. Because the Shadowrun world is really fantastic. I really like Shadowrun, like as a tabletop RPG game, because it's it's really specific, quite peculiar, very good. And Shadowrun Returns is a very good adaptation of the source material to a video game. So I would highly recommend all of the Shadowrun Returns to everybody who enjoys RPGs. So next, Valkyria Chronicles, which I really liked. It was really weird, but it was really it was good. It's not like my favorite type of game, so it would probably land somewhere in the latter at the lower half of the list. But it is kind of worthy of being in the list, anyways. So I just wanted to mention it because I kind of have been itching to get back into it. So then a Dragon's Dogma, which has a really cool combat system once again, and I like dragons, so I'm kind of biased towards it. So yeah. Then Condemned Criminal Origins, once again a horror game. A very, very good, very tense, very atmospheric horror game, but also really hard, really brutal, and very interesting. Has a lot to say about the socio-economic, the sociological situation of humankind. It's a little bit more philosophical, but it's also very combat focused, which is a really interesting way to have a horror game be combat focused, but still contain a very good horror atmosphere. Then we have Cuphead, which I still haven't finished, but it's good. It's good. I don't know if it actually lands in the list because it's a side scroller shoot 'em up, but it's mostly because of boss rushes. But it's really good. I haven't finished. Probably would land in the list. Then there's a lot of Telltale games that I think could be really good, but I haven't finished them. So those would probably be in the list as well. But that's an honorable mention. I haven't finished. I own a lot of them, so. A Hat in Time is another good honorable mention. It's well, it's good. It's good, but there's a specific section which made me quit playing it. Which not because it was hard, not because it was annoying, but those who have played it can tell it is a drastic change in the atmosphere of the game, and it is something very very. It's in stark contrast to the rest of the game, and it was quite surprising when atmosphere changed so suddenly, so radically. Next up is Ori and the Blind Forest. That's a I've heard a lot of good things about it. I have tested out a little bit, but haven't really played it all that much. But I have heard a lot of good things about it, so it's probably going to be in the list. Then there's the Tales of series, Tales of Zestiria, Tales of Berseria, those games. Haven't tested them, owned some of them, heard a lot of good things about. Sekiro. Yeah, that's gonna be in the list, most certainly, once I eventually buy it. Neo. I haven't finished it. I liked it. It was a little bit more unique take on the Souls-like combat, and it had the interesting stances I quite enjoyed. But of course, once again, it's a Souls-like game, so that's already excluding a lot of people from playing it. So. Next up, we have a lot of the Dragon Ages games, which are really pretty cool. I really quite like them. They have a very special combat system. Well, maybe special is not the right word for it, but they are quite unique and they are really good Bioware games. They are pretty standard RPG fanfare, but they're good. They're good. They're pretty well written, entertaining. I like them. Um, Then we have Doctor Infectious Madness of Dr. Decker, which I still haven't finished, but from what I've played of it, it's it is something special. It is something that I would recommend to everybody who enjoys a little bit of madness, who is not adverse to a little bit of peculiarity, oddness, madness, insanity, and of course Lovecraftian inspired horror, while also having a very unique gameplay mechanic. It is a very special game. I don't know where I would place it, but it would most likely land it. Well, it should be. I haven't finished it, so I haven't yet put it. And then Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. They're good. Haven't finished them. They're pretty good. Like if you like Star Wars and you like RPGs, they're good. Psychonauts, as it's a standard platforming affair. Nothing too special about that, but the stories, the humor, dialogue, it's top notch, and it has some very specific moments that I have liked, even though I haven't yet completed it. Mega Man X, I tried that out. I haven't finished it. I know, old game, but I haven't finished that game. I liked it. It was nice, but I'm more of the old school Mega Man fan. But Mega Man X, I can't really deny its quality. Pathfinder Kingmaker. Haven't finished that game yet, but it's good. It's really good. It has a lot of moments that are annoying. It made me so frustrated that I didn't want to wait anymore. But it's good. It really is good. Another CRPG is Tyranny. It's let's just say that playing the bad guy has never felt so good and so bad at the same time, while still being rewarding, and definitely you get invested in it. It's mostly because of the concept that you are an evil person in the game and you are doing really horrible things, but you are doing them out of necessity for the greater good, so to say. It is something very special, but once again, it's a CRPG, so if you don't like CRPGs, don't bother. Lisa, do I need to mention more? It's a. If you don't know what Lisa is, just go check it out. Look it up. It's good, really good. Haven't finished it. Haven't put it in the list. Unheard, a very specific type of puzzle game. Very very cool. It's an indie game. I really liked it. I haven't finished it yet because I want to make a video out of it. So. But it's really, really exceedingly good, and it's quite unique mechanics it has. It's a crime-solving game where you mostly just listen to pieces of audio happening every here and there and try to place which characters. Try to deduce the crime and the culprit of the crime from that. Answer a few specific questions. It's I recommend checking out Unheard if you like puzzle game. It's definitely worth it. The little dong that was released a little while ago, Indivisible. It's oh boy, if you've watched my streams or uploaded those uploads of the streams, it's pretty obvious that I really enjoy Indivisible. Haven't finished it yet, haven't put it in the list, probably landing in the top 20. Really competing with Hollow Knight, but it's good, really good, like, really freaking good. Next up, BattleTech. It's a game that I like mechs. I really like mechs. Not really my biggest favorite thing ever, but the excessive customization that you can do in the game is It's really good. Battletech's just really nice. It just scratches that itch of making deadly weapons. It's just great. It's really good. Death's Gambit, once again another Souls-like platformer, blah 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 blah. It's a little bit of a nice twist on it, but I didn't want to place it in that list specifically because of the fact that it's another Souls-like game. I would just fill the game list with the Souls-like games if I put a lot of them in it. So, but of course I haven't finished it either, so that's a good excuse not to put it in. But I like Death's Gambit. It's good. Heaven's Vault. I recommend checking it out. Everybody, just check out Heaven's Vault. It's good. It's very unique. It's really good. Of course, it's not like action or anything. It's puzzles basically. But if you are not adverse to puzzles, let's say that way, you don't have to specifically like favor puzzles. But if you don't hate puzzles, I recommend checking it out because it is so special. Valhalla or VA11 Hall A, because oh boy, it's another unique game, and they already released like a sequel to it, and oh boy, I really need to get to that at some point. A Shrouded Isle. You can tell I like I like Lovecraft a lot. Yeah, Shrouded Isle is a good game. I haven't played it enough to make a conclusive review on it, so this is just a last minute addition to the list, but yeah. And finally, a game that I have not finished, but I enjoyed, so an honorary mention, is Pathologic 2. I recommend checking out Ragnarok's video on the Pathologic 2, because that would explain a lot of it. But it's kind of a combat horror puzzle role-playing game. It's hard to explain, but it's good on so many levels. It's definitely something that it's good. It's hard to explain, but it's good. Then there are a couple more games that are not in the list. For a lot of some specific reasons. And now we'll soon get to the list actually. First of all, early access games. Two of them that I have excluded are Secrets of Grindia. I don't know how to pronounce that, but yeah, Secrets of Grindia. It's a really cool grinding, like, reminds me a lot of Zelda, except with RPG elements more put into it, and it's good. It's really good, but it's still in early access. And the specific reason why I put it in the list is because the devs are really, they don't want to push it out too early. They just want to really finish the game before putting it out. So I gotta respect that. I gotta give them credit for that. That's why I put it in the list, or kind of in the list. And then Iratus. It's a nice little twist on the team building. It's kind of like Darkest Dungeon. It's dungeon crawling, team building, turn-based RPG, but with a nice little twist that you are playing the bad guy, and your enemies will die from stress. It has a lot of good mechanics, but I will eventually make a video on it, so... But it's now in early access, so I'm not gonna make a video on it. Well, I might, but we'll see. Then there's a game that I really liked, but it's not available anymore, and that is RuneScape Chronicles. I liked it so much, but it was discontinued. The server shut off, and it's a sad tale. I liked it. Just want to mention it for, chronicling. Puns. And then there's like a random reason why I haven't included some games, and those are like because they are like continuing games. But for an example, there's a couple, like 4 I'll mention here, and those are Duelist, because I feel like the dev team stopped updating the game. They haven't released a new expansion for it in a while, so I feel like they abandoned it, which is a shame. Duelist is one of my favorite deck building games. Or not deck building, but like my favorite collectible card games, because it has a lot of the strategical elements, and it has a lot of good deck building, good card game elements to it. Like the fact that you of course have the ramping mana system as in a lot of the modern games, but it also has a very good a huge variety of cards that do a lot of specific things, but a lot of them do the similar kind of thing. Like there are a lot of ways to draw cards, for example. So it's really good, and the replays mechanic in a Duelist is so fantastic. I would highly recommend any aspiring game designers to pick up that mechanic if you're designing a card game, because it's so simple but it's so good. It's just such a fantastic mechanic to add more variety and strategy, and it's a good mechanic. I like it. Minion Masters. Um, I know it's a bit of a pay to win game, but not in my opinion. I haven't paid anything, and I've gotten pretty far in the game. So, and I would get further if I had really tried, but I kind of stopped playing it for a while because it took too much time for my life. Kind of got addicted. But Minion Masters was great. I liked it a lot. I still like it because it's a changing landscape, and I really can't justify it. I don't wanna include it. Paladins. That's a yeah, it's just a class-based shooter, but I haven't played enough to actually get too much into it. I have played a lot of it, but not enough. But it's like from the class-based shooters, it's what I prefer because it more relies on and it's a bit more different than it's my special type of class-based shooter that I enjoy. And then lastly, I'll mention Shadowverse just because it's a card game. It's nice, but it's a CCG. It's not. That's a very specific taste that I'm not gonna include. But then we shall get on with the actual list. So, starting from the bottom, we have Lovers in Dangerous Space Time. I know it's a weird inclusion to include a purely cooperative game into the list, but and I haven't played it a lot, so to just be fair, I don't have a complete opinion on it, but it's a really good cooperative game. It's highly enjoyable. I really recommend people playing it with. It's a great couch co-op game, so it's just fun and it's adorable. So yeah, it's really good. But it's a couch co-op game, so you need a well. Of course, you can just like play it in other ways, but it's a co-op game. It's a rather specific type of game. But it's if you want a good co-op game, a pretty chill game, but with a kind of a nice amount of challenge. I not a lot of challenge, but enough. I would recommend Lovers in Den. Then, number 99 is Lord of the Rings Third Age. Now, what this game is actually something that I've heard a lot. It got a lot of flack because you're playing through the Lords of the Rings story, but you're not actually playing as the Fellowship. So you're just playing grab ass. You're just following their path, and you're not like you don't feel like you're doing anything important. But the combat is so good, and the monster gameplay. Oh boy, you can play as the monsters. You can play as the Balrog, and that's just okay. And the main boss, the final boss of the game. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it wasn't exceedingly good, and that's why it landed so far down here. And it has a lot of issues. But if you like Lord of the Rings and you want a turn-based RPG, Lord of the Rings Third Age is something that you should check out. Another RPG, yeah, you can tell where this list is going, is Cthulhu Saves the World. It's mostly a parody game, but it is deep enough, deserving of this spot. Of course, that's because I like Lovecraftian horror, but it's good. Um, number 97 is Rogue Legacy. It's a good little platforming roguelike, but it the reason why I hesitated in putting it into the list is because, frankly speaking, the fact that you can really just grind through the game makes it a little bit too easy, to be frank. I haven't finished the game completely, but I've played enough to recommend it. But it's, if you are not that good at platform, but you want still the feeling of accomplishment and constant progression. Oh yeah, it's roguelite. Yeah, it's a good game to test out, and it has a lot of fun little things you can. It's a fun little game. I quite liked it, but it isn't really that challenging. Um, Number 96 is Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. A little twist on the Diablo clone. It's really interesting because you can combine bullets and you can a lot of nice little combos, and there's a lot of cool things about the game. So it's a Diablo clone. So, but it's a good Diablo clone. I would recommend it. And continuing with the theme of Diablo clones, we have Victor Vran. I a little put this a little bit ahead the Van Helsing because mostly because it's a little more specific twist on the format. It's it's like actually 3D, and it has a lot of secrets to it. So there's actual platform. That's a little bit of a nice little, and it's not that it's that much more difficult. It's not like it's not that much more challenging, but it has a little bit more movement based combat to it. So that's why I liked it quite a bit. I'm gonna just speed through a lot of these games on the bottom because I don't have much to say, but I'm just gonna give them a few word descriptions. Dungeons of Dreadmore. Once again, a roguelike. But this game benefits heavily. It's like the base game is okay, but if you mod it, it is fantastic and it's hilarious. It's a really good roguelike. My favorite roguelikes are far higher on the list. It's a good roguelike, but because it relies so heavily on modding, that's why it's low on the list. A Rayman. Nice little platformer, unique, really hard. I'm talking about Rayman 1. It's really. It gets unfair at some point, but I liked it. Oh, it gets into the list. I haven't. I actually. This is once again a game that I didn't beat, but it is something that I really did put in the list because it's definitely worth it. Then we have once again another difficult platformer. VV, or WWW, or triple U, I don't know. 6 V's. On fantastic soundtrack, cool platforming, big mechanic. Don't need anything else than that. It's pretty difficult, and there is an infamous section in the game that's there's a really difficult section, but that's for a secret. But I liked it. It's a platform that I really enjoy. And number 91 is Mordheim City of the Damned. I have gotten quite a bit into the Warhammer lore as of late. Well, past 5 years, basically. And Mordheim is one of the Warhammer fantasy games that I quite enjoyed, specifically because of the turn-based character progression. Um, like it has a lot of strategy to it, so that's why I liked it. It's really cool. It has really cool mechanics, and it has a pretty good campaign. And yeah, it's good, but there is of course a weakness to it that it is very RNG heavy, or pretty RNG heavy, but because it uses a percentile based hit system, so and damage system and crit system, you know, it has randomness to it. A little bit too much in my opinion, but fun, really cool. And the fact that you can accomplish those, they are, you choose your missions and you can complete the missions in a number of ways. But most common, because you're always all of the missions are combat against another enemy group, and yeah, technically speaking, you can win by just killing all of the enemies. However, morale plays a huge part in the game. So lowering the enemy morale is one way of winning the game. But there's also most of the missions also have secondary or even tertiary win conditions, such as collecting enough of the warp stone and just stealing the enemy idol. And yeah, there's a lot of ways to win the missions, and that's why I liked it. Then we get on with 90. Flame Break. Another roguelike, but I like roguelikes. It's a bit more difficult one, but it's also pretty fast if you really want to speed through it, so you can actually speedrun the game quickly. It has a lot of combos to it. It's kind of challenging, but it's not too challenging, and it has a lot of nice little variety to it because it has a lot of variety. Like you have a lot of races, and you have a lot of weapons and skills and spells, and you have a lot of items you can pick up. Well, but the reason why I didn't put it high up on the list is because there's not that much variety in it. But it's challenging enough, it's simple enough to grasp, and you can quickly learn basically everything about the game. But that still doesn't mean that you win all the time, because it still is a skill-based game, though. Because it's real time. It's once again a 2D game, and it has a very odd art style, shall we say. Okay, number 89. Mega Man 2. It's my favorite Mega Man. If you don't know what Mega Man is by this point, it's a platformer shooter. It's kind of restrictive. You, for example, cannot shoot in multiple directions on a specific weapon, but it's restrictive platforming at its finest. NES difficulty. You know, it's great. I liked it. It's my favorite Mega Man. Granted, I do prefer more a little bit more, but it's good. Then we have Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. Oh boy, this is a huge part of my childhood. I really liked Kyle Katarn. I still like Kyle Katarn. He's a fantastic main character. He's a good character. He's really fantastic. So I hate that the extended universe is no longer canon. But yeah, it's a good. I've been watching a lot of speedruns of it lately because it gets really crazy. But it's a game that I really enjoyed. But it's also a little bit difficult because I'm bad. But yeah, it's fun. Next up, Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon. I know the Bloodstained actually got released a little bit ago, but I haven't bought it yet. So, but yeah, Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon. NES difficulty platformer, Castlevania inspired platforming combat. It's fun. It's really fun. It's pretty difficult. It has a lot of cool endings to it. A lot of nice things that it has going for it. And the kind of the whole party swapping mechanic is really really neat. So, and the fact that I'm not gonna spoil, but there's a little trick you can do with the game. So there's a nice little thing with that. Continuing with the Souls-like game, or the first actual Souls-like game, and also still going roguelike, is Necropolis. This is one game that I kind of maybe should remove from the list because the devs stopped supporting it. Well, didn't stop supporting it, but they stopped developing it while it was still at the heights of its popularity, and that is regrettable. But if I am not mistaken, they went on to develop BattleTech, so whatever. But it's a nice little Souls-like roguelike. It's good. It's hard, but it's good. It has multiplayer, which I haven't tested out, but and it's specific enough that it's challenging enough that I can recommend it. But of course, once again, roguelike, souls-like, those are things that exclude. If you don't like roguelikes, it's really exclude. So you might not, if you like souls-like games, it's not gonna be enough. You really need like roguelikes. And it has a lot of nice little platforming elements and that kind of puzzle mechanics and cool. And then we get to a very, very special mention. and that is Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, I had a lot of games that I excluded from this list because of the franchise rule. And for an example, because of this, I didn't put Metal Gear 5. Not that that's a bad game. I prefer a little bit of the narrative that Metal Gear Solid 2. And I haven't played 3, which probably would be my favorite. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2. Nice cinematic stealth action, fourth wall bending, mind breaking. It's Hidema. It's Kojima game. If you like Kojima, you like Kojima. That's simple. Then next off we have Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Oh boy, this is a really nice platforming game with a very cool special mechanic to it. Like you can already tell that I like special mechanics or very specific tricks that the game has going for it. And in this situation, it's the eponymous Sands of Time, which allow you to do a few little tricks in the game. But very specifically, it's not a big spoiler, but you can rewind time. You learn that very early on. And that is what makes the game really cool, because it's a hard platforming game, but because you can rewind time, you can redo your mistakes. It still is a bit more difficult. So. Of course, there are other Prince of Persia games that I did exclude, like the Two Thrones and Warrior Within, because I personally enjoy the Sands of Time platforming a little more. So, next we have another platformer. Once again 3D platformer, but with a very special mechanic to it, and that is Portal 1. I liked Portal 1 a bit more than Portal 2, but they are both really good. Portal 1 is you use portals. Learn to think with portals. It gives you a really cool way of actually like interpreting the world with those, and just having so many it's thinking with portals is something I liked. And even though it's become a meme, it's fun. Next we have a little bit of an action game, and that is Max Payne 1. Because I haven't played 2 or 3. I've heard that they are better, or at least 2 is better. 3 is a little bit more special, but I have only played 1. That's why I have that here. It's action game, shooter for sure. It has, but I didn't place it here because of the action. I placed it here because of the story. Because oh my god, the story is so fantastic. It's a little bit cheesy, but that's not too bad, and I liked it a lot. So. But it is also going into dark places, and that's why some people might not enjoy it. So it has content warning on it. Next of all, we have Dungeon Defenders, a nice little team-based tower defense game. I have a particular preference for tower defense games, but I refrain from placing them in this list, mostly because I don't think they are that good, to be honest, but I really want to place one of them, and that's Dungeon Defenders 1. Mostly because I haven't played enough of Dungeon Defenders 2, but yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's pretty neat, even though it is kinda simple and easy, but tower defense games are my jam. Then we get into the next, and these are actually where the games actually start getting a little bit more specific, but a lot more. Like actually, this is a pretty big jump in quality. Well, no, not really, but well, yeah, these are good games once again. First of all, XCOM 1, Enemy Within, because I haven't finished XCOM 2. But yeah, I like the XCOM. Well, I have played the earlier XCOMs, but I'm gonna place this here. So the reboot, it's good. It's really good. It's the one little permadeath, not roguelike, but it's cool. It's fun. It's challenging. It's interesting. It has a lot of good challenge to it. It has a lot of nice little progression to it. I just really like it. It's challenging, very very good. Yeah, but of course, if you don't like permadeath, turn it off, mod it out, because it really, if you, even though the fact that you get attached to your soldiers, you have to sacrifice, or they will die, and you will miss them. If you don't form that kind of attachment to your soldiers, then it really dips down in quality. But because of that, because I did, that's why it's a bit higher on the list. Next up, Valkyria Profile 2. It's interesting. It's a little bit like Indivisible in a sense. The fact that it's a little bit more like a platformer game, Metroidvania, but not really Metroidvania. More of a platformer RPG game, but I placed it here specifically because of the combat system, and it's so good. The fact that you can like have enemies have like body parts that you can break apart with specific attacks that target specific body parts, and some of them break apart easier, and you can actually craft items with those. It's combat is so freaking good, but a little bit of a warning that the story is kind of bad, and the Einherjar system is really exploitable, and it has a lot of problems. It's not that good, but I liked it so much. Okay, let's move on from that to Seraph. Uh, but an interesting little, not Metroidvania once again, but roguelike shooter, not twin stick, but mostly a platformer game. It's a interestingly, like it has some Twitch integration, which I haven't tested out yet, but it has a pretty cool mechanic in the fact that you don't aim, which you could say that is a pretty big weakness, that you can't aim. You can switch between targets, but you cannot actually aim your weapon. But that just frees you up to actually just, platform and concentrate on the dodging aspect, which I appreciate. It's good. Not, but the game has a lot of weaknesses, once again. But because of that simple fact that it's more dodge-based gameplay, that's why I liked it. Next, Trillion, a fun little visual novel RPG where the main enemy, or the not the only enemy, but basically you have to beat a boss with a trillion health, literally trillion health. And I'm not gonna spoil a lot, but the fact that this main goal is the titular trillion health boss is something very special. I quite liked it. It's good, but it's a visual novel. It's very anime inspired, so if that turns you off or from it, don't bother. It has a lot of endings. That's cool. Pretty interesting story. You're playing as the literal devil. That's really interesting. I liked it. Then once again, continuing with roguelikes, we have Dead Cells. Oh boy, Dead Cells is a really, 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 really annoying game. Like, really freaking annoying and frustrating. Oh boy, is it rewarding when you get good at it. It's a nice little game if you like roguelike and Souls-like combat. It also has some nice little Metroidvania. Make it a bit more rewarding. I liked it, but it is hard. It is exceedingly hard. It is pretty punishing, to be honest. Oh, and punishing, not challenging. Punishing. Um, Beware that you will get frustrated if you play the game, most likely, and it's pretty hard to beat. So, yeah. And next up, Pony Island. I'm not gonna say a lot. Actually, I won't say anything. Pony Island is just a game that I really liked. Next up, well, I know, it's just, I don't want to spoil anything. I literally cannot say anything, because already just saying that I might spoil the game is spoiling the game. but it's a worthwhile experience. Darkest Dungeon is the next up game in the list, and oh boy, that's a the Darkest Dungeon is such a hard game to recommend because it is so hard. But it's good. It's really good. It's it's good, but it's once again a roguelike, really good turn-based system. A nice progression, nice story, atmosphere, and the narrator is literally one of the best voices in video games I have ever heard. So, yeah. Then we have the fact I didn't place it higher because it is a very specific game, so it's a very peculiar for tastes. And by the way, these games in the middle, like only the top 10 is like a bit more specific where I can actually highly recommend the games. These more are just placed because I don't know, I just needed to place them here. So Darkest Dungeon could be a lot higher, a little bit lower, but yeah. Next up, Mass Effect 2. It's a nice little BioWare RPG in the sci-fi universe. It's a little specific. Nice little story, good interactions. Combat's combat is really bad. Okay, maybe not really bad, but it's not really good in the combat. That's not what you don't play BioWare games because of. You play them because of the world building and the story and the interactions. Next up is a little bit more controversial pick, and that is Borderlands pre-sequel. I liked 1 and 2, but I prefer the skill set and the moon gravity in pre-sequel. It's a class-based shooter, shoot 'em up. So it's an RPS, so RPG shooter, first person. It's it's a grindy game for sure. It is not very. It's a very specific for some specific tastes, but I liked it. If you like if you like RPG mechanics and you like shooter games, I can recommend it. So yeah, it's good and it's a lot of fun with friends. So as you can hear from the one video I made a long time ago from it. Yeah. Next up, we have Batman Arkham Asylum, which, oh boy, Metroidvania at its finest with Batman, and just saying that it has a lot of the good like Batman elements. The fact that you are stalking in darkness and snatching up enemies without them noticing is just so fun, so much fun, so great. Like Arkham City would be placed here, but I think the more confined and more compact experience of Asylum makes it a little bit better. So, if you like Batman, if you like Metroidvanias and stealth games, I recommend it. It has a problem that it is very easy. Well, in my opinion, the counter-based system from snatched up from Assassin's Creed is, you know, it's easy. It's really easy. But with when you have the stealth missions, that's when it gets good. And of course, we have Scarecrow in there. Just fantastic. Makes the game opinion. Next up, we have the first actually like really strategy game, and that is Civilization 2. I have played every single civilization except 6. And I liked a lot of them, but I placed Civilization 2 here because of childhood. One of the earliest games I ever played, and I liked it a lot. But it's a, to be honest, it is pretty shallow. It's, but it's a very good basic strategy game. Yeah. Next up, Dead in Vinland. Nice survival, tactical exploration, base building game. It's nice. I really like it, not only because of the theming that it is like Vikings, but also a Nordic elements. Cool. That's cool. But also because of the interactions and the story and the base building element and the risk assessment and management mechanics you have. And even though you have permadeath, and it is kind of difficult, it's really good. It's really, really good. And now, taking a little bit of a detour, we have a fighter. We have Dragon Ball Fighter Z. If you like Dragon Ball and fighter games, highly recommended. Of course, it's difficult. I'm not good at fighting games, but it's a really good fighting game. It has very good art style, very good. Everything's just fantastic. But oh boy, it's a fighting game. They are very. If you don't like fighting games, don't bother. Then taking a little bit detour once again, or going back to something a bit more difficult, or not difficult, but a different. We have another 3D platformer. We have a fun little adventure called Ratchet 3. I have played a lot of Ratchet games, but Ratchet 3 is the one that I'm gonna pick. And it's not exceedingly hard, but it's fun. And after all, isn't that what's really the most important factor? The fact that you can have fun with a game. So yeah, that's why I liked it. Um, but and it has a really nice gadget mechanic, and the fact that it has some light RPG mechanics, and the fact that you level up, get more health, your weapons level up, and they get better, and yeah, it's really cool. Then we have another horror game once again, but this is kind of the first visual novel, like actual visual novel in the game in the list, and that is Higurashi no Nakugaru ni. Yeah, Higurashi. Do I need to tell more? A horror visual novel. It's a visual novel, so I know that it's called audio novel. In some people call it an audio novel, which yeah makes sense, but it is a visual novel. If you don't like reading, don't bother. Watch the anime, read the stories, whatever. But if you like horror games and you like visual novels, I'll recommend. Then we have another strategy game. Not a turn-based this time around. We have Warcraft 3. I've been kind of distancing myself from Blizzard for a lot of reasons. I can't deny that Warcraft 3 is great. It's really good. It's a little bit old, to be sure. It's a little bit archaic, but it has a good story. The campaign is just fantastic. It has a really, really good campaign. So, and the mechanics that the game has are good. So, yeah, I like Warcraft 3. It's good. I haven't bought the Reforged game, but still, whatever. It's good. Um, another strategy game, but kind of a strategy game, but a bit more different one, is Mount and Blade Warband. It's kind of a interesting Middle Ages simulator. It's a lot of fun to raise a lot of troops and go siege enemies and build your own empire, even though that is really difficult, but and it takes a long time. But if you have played or Mountain Blade, you know why it is. But it's also very specific. It's slow. It's not turn based, but it is very slow paced. Takes a long time, and you can royally screw up and you can just mess, and you might get screwed and you can't do anything. It's fun, but yeah, it's once again a game that has very not content warnings, but has a lot of peculiarity to it that make it a little bit more harder to recommend. And then we get to an RPG called Wild Arms, a very old school RPG, but the fact that all of your characters have their own, it's a turn-based RPG, a very old PS1 era. Graphics ain't anything great, but the music is really good, the story is really nice, and the characters are just fun and fantastic, dialogue's great, but the combat is really good for a turn-based game. It's really nice because every character has their own unique abilities, and that makes them a little bit more interesting. Mostly also included because of nostalgia factor, but it has a lot of nice things. Although it is pretty easily exploitable and not hard. And then we have a first-person shooter, Rainbow Six Siege. I'm not much of a shooter fan. Don't really like him. Not, I'm not good at shooting, so and just I don't generally really like shooting. I have played a lot of Counter Strike, especially 1.6. That brings a lot of childhood memories. Rainbow Six Siege. I would more say that it's a role-based shooter because I personally enjoy playing operators that game that have bring unique elements to the table that allow your allies to perform better, even though you are not necessarily doing anything good or you don't even really play the game. For an example, I really play. I really play a lot of Legion, who places toxic goo mines everywhere, and those slow down enemies, but more importantly, prevent them from planting the diffuser, which has won me the round a lot more times than it should have, and it makes it makes a loud noise, and yeah, it's fun. Or for an example, I also play like, yes, I am a Rook main because I'm a I can't shoot for shit. But the fact that you place those plates down and they allow your allies to survive a couple more shots, enough to make a difference. And of course, the fact that it's more information based for warfare is great. It's a good first person shooter. But if you don't like shooters, don't bother. Well, no. This is again where even if you don't like shooters, the fact that you have roles, you have like information roles, and you can just purely win if you have like one good shooter in your team and the rest people are supporting him, them. That's enough to win the game. And that's just fantastic. And they are continuously developing. Great. It's the only first person shooter that I like. Or really can recommend. Then we have once again another platformer from the Naughty Dog. From Naughty Dog developers. For PlayStation 2 we have Jak 2. I liked Jak 1 and Jak 3. I haven't played any of the other games, but I picked Jak 2 specifically because of the difficulty and the fact that Jak 3 feels a little bit bloated, but Jak 2 is just on the edge of difficulty and just on the edge of complexity without being overly complex or bloated. And even though Jak 1 is very different, nice, but Jak 2 is a fantastic um third person shooter platform. The weapons that you have are great. They are wide variety. Something's useful for everything is useful for some situation, and it has a very nice story. Humor's great. Platforming's good. The world building is nice. There's a lot of good things it has going for it. It has also a lot of nice, really bad issues, like for a fact that there's a lot of bugs. It has a lot of difficulty spikes. Collectibles ain't great. Some of them are really good, but some of them are really annoying to get. Some of the challenges are really annoying, and some of them are just impossible. But it's a really nice third-person platforming adventure. It's like GTA without the really bad elements. So, yeah. And then we get to a cinematic brawler. Okay. This is a little bit more different one. It's Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. Yeah, one of my old childhood memories. I liked it. I like it a lot. It's hard, like really hard, like holy hell, it's hard. I haven't beaten it in every difficulty because down the must die difficulty is just not fair. But the rest of the difficulties are. It's hard, but it's so good and it's so stylish and it's so much fun. The story is alright, nothing too great, but the boss battles, that's where it's at. Just 20 levels. That's enough. More than enough to make it worth your while. I liked Devil May Cry 3. But yeah, once again, a little bit of a warning that it's a cinematic brawler. If you don't like those, don't bother. And it's something where you the easy mode still isn't that excessively easy. So I mean, it is the easy mode is, but it is still a hard game. And then we get on to an isometric RPG, Fallout 2. I chose Fallout 2 specifically because that's where the story is at its greatest. Fallout 1 and 2 are really good, but I personally enjoy Fallout 2. If you don't know Fallout by now, look into it. You might enjoy it. I would recommend that you really just find out whether you want an isometric RPG or a shooter. For shooters, New Vegas. For isometric RPGs, start with 2. 1 is actually not that good. But yeah. Then, once again, a visual novel puzzle-based, a unique game, Danganronpa. And I chose 2, because that's where the story is at its greatest. I can't go too much into detail, but Danganronpa is a fun visual novel detective game. It's really fun. I excluded Ultra Despair Girls because even though it's very different from the other Danganronpa games, still in the same franchise. But it is so different, and oh boy, that game is really worthy of a video at some point. But I chose 2 because of the story. It's just so good, it's so good. I really liked it. I have played through 3. I didn't think it was that great. It was good, don't get me wrong, but personally enjoyed 2 a little bit more. Then another deck. Now we have a deck building roguelike. Slay the Spire. Challenging, difficult, high learning curve, high skill ceiling. But it's really fun. It's really well done. A lot of mods if you are into that, but the base game is already really good. They are releasing a new character soon, so that's gonna be fun. If you haven't seen Slay the Spire, check it out. You might enjoy it. It's roguelike. If you like roguelikes, it's good. Even though it has card-based combat, so if you just like roguelikes, it's still worth getting into. It's challenging for sure, but it is fun. Really fun. And then, I guess a platformer is a correct way to say it. Yeah, platformer, class-based platform. Risk of Rain 1, because 2 is still in early access, but 2 is good, to say the least. But yeah, I had to put Risk of Rain 1 in here. It's really interesting. You have 4 skills. You pick up items. You fight through a lot of some levels. The time you spend in the levels makes the game become progressively harder all the time, endlessly. You can't waste a lot of, but you can make a lot of good builds in it, or just gonna break it. It's really fun. Some of the classes are obvious better than others. All of the characters are usable. A lot of nice little story is alright. A lot of the lore is cool. It's kind of difficult, but not too difficult, I would. It's really nice. I would recommend Risk of Rain for those who like roguelikes that are, action-based roguelikes. But yeah, and I would recommend that you also buy the second one, either in early access or once it comes out. Then getting back to a story-based game, and this is here solely because of the story. No, not solely, but mostly because of the story. This War of Mine. It's a survival game. It's a. It's the. It's a survival game based on a war, and it's really soul crushing. But it's good. It's a very nice, very good experience. But it is very rough on. But it definitely deserves to be mentioned. It's a good game. It's a fantastic experience. Yeah, I'm one more fighting game in the list, and that is Skullgirls. I personally enjoyed Skullgirls a little bit more than Dragon Ball Fighter Z, just because the fighting style is a little bit more to my taste. And even though I like Dragon Ball, the Skullgirls is just a bit more fun for me personally. And they made it indivisible now, so a little bit of a preference. Yeah, I'm not gonna go too much deeper into that, but it's a fighting game. It's a nice little fighting game. It's still alive and well. So that's nice. Then we have a very classical JRPG, Final Fantasy VI. I excluded Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 9 out of this. Not that the other ones are that bad. 7 is nice. 2 has some interesting elements to it. 1 is a classic. 10 is probably the best starting point for Final Fantasy. There's a lot of good things about the different Final Fantasies. Some of them are pretty bad, but I chose 6. If you know about the story, you know why. Definitely know why I chose it. And the Magicite element system where you equip them to character. It's just good. It's just a nice little bit of customization. And I like the characters a lot. Yeah, that spoiled a little bit. The characters are the main reason. The story is also fantastic, and final boss music. Oh boy. Then we have another RPG, but this time real time. I mean, technically speaking, Final Fantasy is real time, but no. We have Witcher 3. Those, if you know the story, you know why it's here. It's nice. Exploration. Really good story. Kind of a easy combat, but not too easy in situations. A lot of customization, character building, different builds, styles you can go for, exploration. Just a lot of good elements to it. It's a big game. Really big. Really long. And I'm looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077 a lot. Yeah, CD Projekt Red just knocked it out of the ballpark. Um, but I didn't put it higher on the list because let's just say that even though your choices do matter, I have played more games where the choices matter a bit more. But this has Witcher 3 has enough choices in it, worthwhile. But the combat is a little bit too easy, mostly because of that. Yeah, the combat's a little bit too. That's why it's here. But it still is a worthwhile game. And like I said earlier, the games in the list, especially those that are kind of in the middle of the game list, they really could alternate really highly, and you can have Witcher 3 as your favorite game of all time. Definitely is worth of that. So, worth that. But I placed it here. Then we have Capitalism Simulator. I really like management games. I really do. Like quite a bit. So and shopkeeping, I really have enjoyed keeping shops in fancy worlds. And that's why I put Racketeer, but Reseteer. I put it here because I liked it. I like it a lot. It's it's good. It's fun. Characters are great fun. The exploration or the dungeon crawling, nice. Shopkeeping is fun. Good capitalism elements. It's just all around great. And not that. I mean, it's a little bit difficult in moments, but it's not too hard. And the risk assessment is always a thing, but. And of course, farming for some of the drops is pretty annoying. But overall, it's a nice little capitalism. Then we have our first truly free game here, which is questionably legal because of the music section, and that is Os or Osu, whatever you wanna say. Rhythm-based game, very unique, very nice, very fun. I mostly play Osumania because I can't move my mouse quickly enough. I'm bad at rhythm. I don't have a good rhythm sense. I'm not musically talented. But I wanted to include it here, even though you really just it's mostly based on the fact that you can like have endless amount of tracks in it. So, but also it's great. Next up, another CRPG, Baldur's Gate 2. I excluded a lot of Black Isle Studios games because of this game. There's not much to say. Classical D&D adventure with one of the best stories ever. It's really good. And just moving right along, we have Grim Dawn. A kind of a Diablo clone, but not really. Nice, unique world. Pretty great, pretty good story. Good combat, nice leveling mechanics. A little bit grindy, but I liked it a lot. Don't have much to say about it. Nice, good grinding game. Nice little Diablo clone. But it's unique enough to distinguish itself from Diablo. Next we have Pillars of Eternity. While it has problems, it's long-winded. It's kind of a classical CRPG. It is special enough. It is great enough. And it is a revitalization of the genre that it deserves to be mentioned. Of course, CRPG, long-winded. Those are kind of like things that might put you off of it, but I liked it a lot. Then we get on to some special games, and those are Stardew Valley. Oh boy, farming has never been so much fun. Stardew Valley is just a special little game that you can turn on and relax, play through a day, and then you notice that you have played for 6 hours and you're missing a lot, and you have to go to school, work. It's a great little game. It's very addictive. That's a kind of a problem, but there's so much to do and so many things. It has very good completion element. Next up, Terraria. Like Minecraft, except in 2D. Not really though. It's more of an RPG than anything else. More of an adventure game. I really liked it. Like Terraria. And oh my god, the latest patch is amazing. But yeah, it's Terraria is really nice. Even though people compare it to Minecraft, that's not really a fair comparison because, frankly speaking, only the fact that you can place blocks down, that's basically the only similarity it has with Minecraft, although Minecraft has changed a lot. Yeah, Terraria is just great fun. Then we get to another strategy game. We have, well, I chose Endless Legend here, but Endless Space 1 and 2, really nice. But I like dragons, so Endless Legend. And Dungeon of the Endless, even though it's not that much, it's not that kind of a strategy game, more of a tower defense roguelike. It's from the same developer, and that's why I excluded it. But it's good. All the Endless series games are really great. Endless Legend, the fact that you have the unit customization and faction customization, quests, a lot of things to do. Really good strategy, really nice world building. It's just a fantastic strategy game. Turn based, but whatever. Um, then we have a bit more of a old school game. We have Deus Ex, and I am talking about specifically the first one. Not to say that the other ones are bad. Deus Ex Human Revolution is especially good, like really good. Deus Ex One just has the best story in my opinion. Deus Ex Human Revolution might have quite a bit better gameplay, but it has a lot of problems to it, and it's a little bit easier and blah blah blah. But Deus Ex One has the best story in my opinion. It's the story that I enjoyed the most. They are all nice little cyberpunk adventures, so yeah, a little bit dystopian. A lot of good like political elements that you can still enjoy to this day that are actually surprisingly relevant. Yeah. And then moving on, we have another CRPG, Divinity Original Sin. I kind of debated on which one would be placed higher, Divinity Original Sin or Pillars of Eternity, and I just had to place Divinity because it has a little bit more special combat. And yeah, that's basically the reason. And it has a little kind of in a way side story are better. So, and I haven't played Divinity Original Sin 2 yet, so that's why I haven't placed it here. But that I've heard so much good about that it most likely will just be replacing this next list and be placed far higher. But yeah, Divinity Original Sin, kind of an action point system RPG, combat based mechanics, turn based, but oh my goodness, the elemental environmental interactions in the game are fantastic. It's a basic example, but let's say that you cast like grease on an enemy and then light him on fire. Yeah, simple, effective, and fun. But you can just douse them in water and electrify them or freeze them. There's so many things. It's great. It's it's fantastic. And then we get on to a little game that I have enjoyed quite a long time. And the whole game series is fantastic. Frankly speaking, all of the games like, if I didn't have the one game per franchise rule, this would populate like maybe 10 of this. Toho 6. It's a Danmaku shooter, bullet hell game. But soundtrack, love it. Characters, story, love them. Gameplay, it's good. I'm bad at bullet hell games, but it's really good. I don't. That's basically the best way to describe it. It has really good soundtrack, really good gameplay, really good story. Mostly the gameplay though. It's really nice. Really difficult, really nice. One hit kills. Still nice. I'm not gonna go any deeper into that. Then we have then we get into the once again a little bit more different game. We have this is actually the first game I ever played, or the game that when I got my PlayStation 2, this was the first game that I played. Not the first game like I ever played on Play. When I bought the PlayStation 2 from my friend, this was the first game that I did play, and that is Kingdom Hearts 2. So you can imagine, there's a lot of nostalgia here. Like, holy crap, there's a lot. And it's not like the Kingdom Hearts series is excellent or anything, but it's good. It is good. It's really good. The combat mechanic is fantastic. Exploitable, yeah. Easy to beat, definitely. Even the hard mode is not that hard. But it's fun. It's really fun. I don't recommend grinding through the game though. Like grinding the 100% completion. Recommended. And then we have a third person or first person shooter. I know I kind of said that I wouldn't have any other of them, but I mostly play this in third person, so yeah. Star Wars Battlefront 2, 2005 or 6, can't remember. And yeah, it's another Star Wars game, but it's a nice little shooter. Of course, a lot of nostalgia, but nice strategy, nice tactic, good multiplayer, really good gameplay. Hero mode is great. All around great shooter. Third person. But yeah, it's fun. Then I kinda like I know I included Zelda. I included Mega Man on the list, so I do include some of the older or bigger franchises, even though I mostly strayed away from them. But I had to include Zelda Majora's Mask because the story, atmosphere, good. It's really good. And the other Zelda games, yes, they're fine. Each of them has their own really good quirks on them. But I chose Majora's Mask. Not gonna go too much deeper into the details, so we'll move along. Sunless Sea is next up. One of the best lores ever, I would argue. Fallen London already had really good lore. Like, it had a lot of writing awards for a reason. It's really good. And Sunless Sea just expands upon the world very well. The gameplay isn't anything spectacular, but it's good enough. It's fun, and the story is the main focus of the game. Uh, it's a game where you don't specifically even need to play it. You can just go and read the wiki entries, the TV tropes entries for that game, and it's gonna be enough. Yes, the story is the main focus. Fantastic. It allows a lot for self-expression and such, which I really value. So it's a fun little game. Not little, but a fun game. Next up, we have another Warhammer game, but shall we say a little bit peculiar. We have Blood Bowl 2. Frankly, I chose Blood Bowl 2 because I've been playing it recently. It's a cross section for games that are like chess, American football, and Warhammer. So that's a very specific niche. But if you can fit into all of those categories, this is an excellent game. It's very RNG based. Yeah, dice rolling. You can just get Nurgle, which is the god of randomness or chaos, whatever. He can screw you over hard, but your skills as a manager do negate a lot of the randomness. If you're good, you will win. Of course, there are some oddities here and there, but truly, the skilled managers eke out a victory in the end. So it's a fun little strategy chess risk assessment game. But yeah, it's fun. There's a lot of variety in the game, and there's a lot of teams, and they are fairly well balanced. So it's fun. Then another strategy game, we have Stellaris. It's a 4x space real-time paradox strategy game. So it's very peculiar once again, because paradox games, they are all quite it changed a lot in the latest patch, and you really should buy your expansions for it. But fortunately, if you are playing in multiplayer, only one person has to have the expansions for it to work. But yeah, Stellaris, it's a good 4x strategy game for space. A lot of variety in shipbuilding and strategy management. Of course, you can get screwed over by just basic strategy. It's really good strategy game. Apologies, I need to drink. Oh boy, this has been a long video already, but we'll never stop. Next up, Puri. Boss Battle Boss Rush. Yeah, it's a simple game. Very simple mechanics. Not a lot of depth to it, but nice little skill-based challenge you can complete a few minutes if you're good. If you're not, you're gonna struggle for a lot. long time, and it has some problems, but the story is great. Soundtrack is fantastic. The combat is, and that's where they put all of their eggs in this basket. They really focus on combat mechanics. They are good. They're really good. Fight, controls, nice. But yeah, boss battle game, difficult. Bullet hell game as well in most sections. But it's great fun, good balancing for difficulty. I do recommend it. But once again, a little bit more specific. Next up, another free game. Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Roguelike game. Turn-based, very simple textures, but the depth unmatched. Unmatched depth. Still haven't finished the game, but I have gotten quite far. I've held a bob in hands. Didn't escape though, so that's bad. But it's a good game. A lot of that, a variety, challenging, a lot of good things. Then moving right along, we have Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of Earth. Yeah, Lovecraftian horror game. Kind of a turns into a shooter. That great in the latter half, but the start of the game is so good. The first 2 levels, or 3, is the reason why you play the game. It has some of the best moments in gaming history, in opinion. It's a really good horror game. I would highly recommend it for every horror fan. Next up, another semi-visual novel. We have I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Dark, depressing, atmospheric, terrifying, bone chilling, soul crushing, but really good and worthwhile. Of course, it's mostly text-based. Puzzles, some really esoteric puzzles. Some endings. It's a good game. I liked it, but it has a lot of content. Like, got the content warnings for that before checking out the game, because truthfully speaking, will leave you scarred. Next up, moving right along into whatever. It's System Shock 2. How do I describe it? It's it's easy to describe. It's a first-person shooter explorer Metroidvania game. It's oh boy, story fantastic, gameplay fantastic, soundtrack exceedingly good, antagonist one of the best in video game history. Graphics are the biggest weakness, and even those are quite good. So yeah, I excluded Bioshock 1 and System Shock 1 because of this. And to be frank, I don't think Bioshock 2 and Bioshock Infinity, they are not that good. But that's just my opinion. You're free to have your own opinion. So don't take that as a disparagement. I just prefer System Shock 2. So yeah, it's good. It's really good. It's once again a horror game. It's kind of a bit of a difficult game. And yeah, it's good. You can just watch a let's play of it. I'm gonna make a video out of it later because it certainly deserves me. This is top 30 now, so these are all going to be fantastic games. That was the number 30. Now we have number 29. Beginner's Guide. I excluded Stanley Parable because of this, and I don't really regret that. It's a personal experience. It's a fourth wall breaking experience. Both of the games are fantastic. Very unique. Not much to say. So we're just gonna move right along. We have another visual novel. Horror game. Once again. We have Sayano Uta. Check content warnings first. Really? Do? It's... Oh boy. it's it is a pretty rough game, or visual novel rather. So really a big weakness. Why it didn't get higher. That doesn't have many points of choice in it, so that's why it's pretty low on the list. And I'm not gonna talk more on it. I'm not gonna. I don't want to really describe it. I recommend checking the content warnings for it. Like really, check the content warning. It has some really disgusting stuff in it. So moving right along, we have a Metroidvania, Cyberpunk Metroidvania this time. Dex, not the best thing ever, but I had to include it because I have played through the game like maybe 3 or 4 times. Always enjoyed it. Always completed it. It has been fun. Has always been fun. So good, so exceedingly good. But of course, short experience, not that hard, but good, good. And it's Metroidvania, kind of easily optimized, not that hard. Nice endings, story, nice platforming, good world building. Yeah, but if you don't like Metroidvanias, and especially if you don't like Cyberpunk, don't bother. Then we have Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It's a personal experience, and because of my personal state, I would have put it higher, but in good heart, I cannot recommend the game more. But it is something that I hold dear to me. It's a very personal experience to me. I kind of don't want to play through it again, but I really do want to play through it again as well. It's a painful experience. It's a good experience. Deals with psychology. That's very rarely spoken of, um, and that's why I loved it. It's it is personally very close, and I really like the game. The actor, because it's motion capture. Actor playing Senua is fantastic. He did a really good job. It's an indie game. Wouldn't believe that. Really high production quality. Of course, combat. Nothing too special, nothing too hard, but just hard enough. Keep your interest. So we're moving along to another, I suppose, a visual novel puzzle game. And the only RPG Maker game in this, To the Moon. This is only included in here because the story is so heartfelt, so touching. So it's a good story. That's all I'm gonna say about it. If you don't like RPG makers or pixel graphics or those things, it's not gonna be worth it. But me, it's the price of admission. The story is just fantastic. Then, moving right along, once again another Metroidvania, because those are always something that I enjoy. We have Touhou Luna Nights. Touhou, loved it. Metroidvania, really good Metroidvania elements. Great boss battles. Really good exploration. Pretty challenging, actually. Nice skill-based movement. Really cool skills. Nice RPG mechanics. Ain't got much more to say. Music is basically just from Touhou, so can't really credit it for that, but it's a nice little mod for it, kind of. Or Touhou-based game. I really like Touhou games. Yeah, it's nice. But Metroidvania, if you don't like them, bother. Well, no. Even if you only enjoy one aspect, which is like challenging combat, Metroidvanias or Touhou, you should check it out. And next up, this I should have removed from the list because it has a sequel coming out. Well, soon, or it has been announced. Path of Exile. Technically speaking, just a Diablo clone, but it's really, really, really good. Really nice skill system. Very unique. Good world building. Very challenging. It has a big problem in the fact that you can definitely mess up your character permanently, in which case you can't win the game. But that's unlike, well, you you do sometimes just hit a ceiling where your character will not get further, but it is a unique, fantastic game. Next up, another visual novel. First visual novel I ever played, as a matter of fact. And a free game as well. Katava Shoujo. Romance game. Very simple visual novel dating sim. But each of the girls you can date in the game, each of them is very unique and you can identify yourself with each of them or all of them. So you definitely will have a favorite, and all of them are very special. Yeah, they each have something special to them. So it's definitely a worthwhile experience because, it's free. So that's great. Next up, Cultist Simulator. It's an intuition game. It's a special type of game. Kind of a deck building management strategy game, but not really though. I would recommend checking it out because it's very unique. I would say one of a kind game. Like, I mean, technically speaking, every game is one of a kind, but I haven't seen this kind of mechanics done in any other game ever. So, yeah, it's worth checking out. Then we have another horror game. We have Silent Hill 2. I liked some other Silent Hill games, like Shattered Memories is the only Western game I quite enjoy. Exceedingly good. But I'm not gonna lie, it has problems. Not that good. And I liked 3. So those are the two that I excluded. But Silent Hill 2, it's good. It's a good horror game. I'm not gonna say anything else. And we're just gonna move along into the top 20. Now, these games are all among my favorite games ever. Each of them holds a special place in my heart. Each of them is something that I could just play forever, technically speaking. Each of them is one of a kind experience. Kind of, not really, but these are all among my, well, they are my favorite games. Like, the rest of the games on the list, their positions are not that solid and they could change easily without in the same day, but but these top 20, these are fantastic. I'm not gonna go too deep into these, but I'm gonna mention like the main selling point. So, number 20 we have Okami. It's unique, great mechanic with brush techniques that allow you to alter the world. Very good combat, very nice story, very good music, very good world building, very good exploration. Just all around great game. If you haven't checked Okami, you should. No matter what kind of games you. Okay, if you only prefer FPS games, no. Or just flat out strategy games, but even in that case, I would still recommend that you check it out because it is so exceedingly good. Then we have a couple of horror games. So first of all, we have Cat Lady. Dealing with depression is hard. Depression is pain in the neck. And the Cat Lady deals with it exceedingly greatly. It's a very personal experience once again. Not as personal as Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, but it's more generally applicable and more easily approachable and just a little bit more visceral. That's why I put it higher. It is something that it's a good horror game. Once again, content warning. Then we have the next horror game, and looking at the list, this is the last horror game. That is Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I don't think I need to go too deeply into this. Just a very good atmospheric horror game. So moving right along, we have a JRPG in the most classical sense, even though it is kind of in the new wave, and that is Persona 3 FE or FES, whatever. It's are very traditional, and yeah, it is a spin-off from the Shin Megami Tensei series, which, you know, those games don't get enough acknowledgement. Those games are fantastic, frankly speaking. But Persona 3 is, out of them, my favorite. Mostly because I haven't played 1 or 2. Yeah, Persona 3 was also one of the earliest games I ever played on PlayStation 2. So, a lot of childhood memories. It's a great, great game. Of course, not the best, and a little bit edgy, so, you know, a little bit cliche. Some really stereotypical imagery, but the story, fantastic. Setting, great. Combat mechanics, well, simple, deep enough. Very good mechanics all around. It's a visual novel, though, kind of, in the sense, so, you know, that might turn you off the. If you don't mind that. A good RPG. And speaking of RPGs, we have Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. If you're not turned off by vampires, I would recommend this game for anybody who likes RPGs, because it has some of the best story ever. Yeah, I would recommend that highly. I'm not gonna go any more deeply into that. I would recommend that you check it out if you are interested. So, moving along, we have Beyond Good and Evil. I have already played through this on, and I'm gonna out of the. It's a nice platformer action adventure exploration game. Very great story. Fantastic story to be. Very nice exploration elements. Very unique setting. I haven't checked out the second sequel. I heard it's gonna be. I hope so. We were waiting for it a long time, and the first one is so good. Best soundtrack ever. Good story. It's all around great. I don't have much bad to say, frankly. I mean, if I have to mention something bad, I might say that some of the voice acting is a little bit stilled. Yeah, really. Combat is a little bit. Some of the sneaking in the game is a little bit not that hard, but so it's a little bit too easy of game. But that just makes it more approachable to more people because the game is fantastic all around. So yeah. Okay, moving further, we have Gothic 2. People have really praised Skyrim or just Oblivion, but or you know Elder Scrolls series just in general. But I personally prefer Gothic because it does the level gate better because it even though it has level mechanics, you can win every single combat if you are good enough. Leveling makes it just a bit easier. Equipment makes it easier, but Gothic 2, in my opinion, great story, great gameplay, great exploration. If you like open world RPGs, check out Gothic. But of course, it isn't that like it isn't perfect. But and the movement is a little bit funky, but it also is something that I have a bit of a story with a background on it. I picked it up from bargain bin for €5 when I was a child, and it was the German version. Fortunately, I was already studying German at that point. Ich kann Deutsch sprechen, aber nicht so gut. Yeah, I liked that, and it helped me learn a little bit German. Yeah, it was a great. I liked it, but it's also here because of nostalgia. And speaking of nostalgia, we have the only MMORPG here, and that is a RuneScape. Even though it is an MMORPG and those are already a big turn off for people, this is my favorite. It's not These things have problems, of course, but I chose this specifically because of the quest. It has the best quest design in the MMORPG world, frankly speaking. More involving quests, or exquisite quests. Just the quests are the main point of the game, in my opinion. That's the reason why I play it. It has a lot of good aspects, but the quests, that's the reason why I played or play RuneScape. I haven't played for a while. Can be fun to return to it. And then we move along once again to my childhood memories. We have Alundra, PlayStation 1 game that I got from my friend when I purchased his PlayStation 2. It's kind of like Zelda, except in my opinion a little bit better because it's a more class-based and a little bit more challenging and a more puzzle game focused. It's 2D, but it's pseudo 3D. It's platforming, puzzle solving, combat. Really good combat. Like some of the best combat ever, I'd say. Really great story. Really great music. Good characters. Exceedingly great exploration. But yeah, it's a 2D adventure action hack and slash. Hack and slash is excessive, but an action-based game. And it is a little bit difficult. And frankly speaking, it's not colorblind friendly, which made me stuck in a puzzle for a long, long while. Yeah, it's great. And the atmosphere is great, but there is a little bit of a problem with um depth of view because it's 3D basement in 2D. Kind of hard to distinguish the depth of some platforms, which makes it a little bit annoying in some situations. But it's really good. Then we have my favorite turn-based RPG, and that is Grandia. Very much here because of, nostalgia reasons. I heard it's re-released. Don't know much about it. Still play the PlayStation version. Like it a lot. Great story. Very simple story. Like, really stereotypical story, but something that I quite enjoy. I know it's a lot here because of nostalgia bait, so I'm gonna admit to that right along. But I like the story, and it has pretty good combat. So yeah, and even though the leveling system is very easily exploitable, it's a really good leveling system where you use the weapons and spells which give you XP into that element or weapon, and leveling up the weapon skill or the magic element or those combined will unlock more further element skills for you. And every skill has a different star rating which levels up on its own individually when you use that skill, and it becomes faster to execute and uses less energy. It's a good game. It has also really good story and characters. Wow, I actually spent a bit more time on that than I. And moving on to top 10. Um, some of these are gonna be rather controversial, but some of these I don't think people can doubt their quality. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Okay, yeah, you can doubt it. A bit of an older game. It is still good to play. Fun. It's really good exploration, even though it really is not that difficult, if frank. Some of the things you get are a bit too, shall we say, pointless, and it's easily exploitable, and some of the weapons are too. There's a lot of pointless mechanics in it. There's a lot of like dumb things about it. It's good. It is what defined Metroidvania. I excluded two Castlevanias out of the list because of this, and those are Curse of Darkness and Lament of Innocence. Now, why would I exclude those and not others? Well, because these are the games that I own. Yeah, that's the reason. Further, moving right along, we have number 9, Undertale. I know, I don't need to say anything else. Deltarune isn't finished yet. Coming right along pretty well, actually. It's great. Undertale, it's good. Great story, music, mechanics. All around great. Don't need to say anything else. Check it out if you haven't. Then we have the final strategy game. Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Very much here because of nostalgia bait. But, in my opinion, great story and campaign. Really good multiplayer, even though easily exploitable. Not that well balanced. But it's fun. It's challenging. Great. But, very much here because of. So, next up, Warframe. The last play game, in a way. Space Ninjas. Grinding simulator. If those turn you off, either of those turn you off, don't. But if neither of those actually turns you out of the game, because it is very much a parkour simulator. It is class-based. I would say it's squad-based shooting. It's RPG in a way. You know, RPG mechanics, leveling mechanics and such. But it's very heavy on grinding. My god. It's so much fun. It has a lot of content. There's a lot to do. They are just continuously releasing a lot of things. And there's just so many good things about it. An endless amount of good things about it. There are literally a lot of people that have based their channels just based on singular aspects of it. Not talking about just the whole game, but like singular aspects. So there's a lot to do in the game. It's fun. It's endless. Aren't great. Very specific though. Not gonna lie. Most people won't enjoy it, in my opinion. I don't think most people. Even though it has been rising steadily in popularity, surprisingly enough. Anyway, next up we have Nier Automata. Not a perfect game, but an exceedingly great in aspects that it exceeds in, which are combat, music, and story. But those also are kind of double-edged swords. The combat, while being great, is challenging and hard and punishing, and it will turn off. Those who like it really enjoy. The story can get up its own ass. Can be very sanctimonious. Can be very pretentious. But if you like the story, you really like the story. And the music, I don't think a lot of people will argue that the music in Nier Automata is. You might, but not a lot of people argue that. Then moving right along, we have Transistor. I excluded Bastion Empire out of this because of the franchise rule, but yeah, Transistor is the game I chose because of the story. Not only because of the story though, also because the combat is a little bit better than in Bastion, in my opinion. A little bit different, but all of the Supergiant games are fantastic. They have a really heavy focus on exceedingly great stories, but they really don't skip out on combat or, gameplay. And the gameplay is fantastic. And the soundtrack, my god, the music in all of the games are fantastic. I can't say anymore. I recommend checking out like all of the games, figuring out what you like. They all have a lot of good elements. Fire is very specific. So, if you're gonna check it out, keep in mind that it has peculiar basketball, kind of. Not really though. Okay, moving right along, we have number 4, which is, in my opinion, the perfect game in which it isn't. It's not that it serves every niche or every itch that you might have when you're a gamer, but all of the aspects that the game has are so good. This is what I would call a perfect game. Shadow of the Colossus. Excluded Ico because of this. Ico is still pretty good. But Last Guardian is also good, but Shadow of the Colossus is just a perfect game. Platforming, but also combat-based platforming. Also, it's a puzzle. It has great atmosphere. Pretty good story. Its soundtrack's fantastic. World building, great. But the combat is where it's at. Or even though I call it combat, it is more of puzzle-based platforming than combat. Also, the combat ends in a couple sword swings, or stabs rather, and mostly just platforming, like puzzles. I don't. It's Shadow of the Colossus. If you don't know, check it out. No matter what you like, check out Shadow of the Colossus. Really worth it. Then top three. These were all like when I started making this list. These top three were like certain in my mind. I've always been raving about these three games, or recently a lot of them. So two of them were something that I have always considered to be up here, and the third one just got up here after I played it. So the third one, Planescape Torment, that's higher up on the list, mostly because it only got up here because it has the best story ever written in video games, in my opinion. Yeah, the best story ever written. I can't say much more. Basic, no, not basic Dungeons and Dragons story, but or world building. It has a really great setting, really great character. Just the story is so fantastic that I would recommend you play the game just because of the story, but be warned that it is a CRPG and that will turn you off because the combat mechanics are not refined. This broke my rule for one game per franchise or one game per developer because Black Isle Studios game. I had Baldur's Gate earlier, but I could not not mention the story is what sells Planescape. It's the similar reason why this game is still talked about. Anyways, moving right along, we have the number 2, which is Yakuza Kiwami 2. I really had to debate between this and Yakuza Kiwami 2. I put 1 here. I think I just said wrong. But Yakuza Kiwami 1. I alternate between these two. And I haven't played. I am currently playing through Yakuza 4. But all of the games, great. They are really good collectathon sandbox story-based brawlers. They are like GTA, but with an actual story and focus. A bit more refined characters, really great stories, good soundtrack, combat's great, all around great games. I'm gonna talk more about it when I make the video about it, so yeah. And my number 1 pick, which really, if you know me, ain't gonna surprise you, it's Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 3 is excluded because of this, as is Bloodborne. Dark Souls 2 is not, frankly speaking, in my opinion, that great. So I wouldn't even put it in the list. But yeah, Dark Souls 1 is my favorite game of time, I would say. Because it just exceeds in every category. But of course, specific game. I don't think I need to say anything else. Oh, yeah, this has been almost a 2-hour video, but I'm just gonna keep it a bit under 2 hours. So I'm just gonna leave you off here by saying I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna make reviews out of all these eventually, at some point. Probably starting from the bottom, not necessarily though. But for now, I wanted to get this off of just to put it out there. So I bid you all adieu. I hope you enjoyed it. Anyways, I will get back to making content for you all, and I thank you so very much for following me, supporting me throughout the years. I hope you will look forward to what we have in store for you for future. Thank you very much for Gunmu out. Thank you. and share your opinions in the comments below.